a keeper. Up across the 15, cuts left at the 20, lots of room at the 30. Headed to the near sideline, one man to beat. Makes the move at midfield. Coming to the near side at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Kentucky!
Welcome into another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Aaron Gershon from the Cat's Paws. Got the QB back. Jalen Whitlow, courtesy of Tom Leach on the audio. We could have used a lot more touchdown Kentucky's. We said it all season long. Aaron and I've been talking about it all year, Jay. But glad to have you back, man. Know you've been coaching, and you was talking before we got on that y'all had a good season and did your thing down there. So good stuff, man.
Yeah, man. It feel like it's been a while, but yeah, we been busy coaching, man, and getting home every night, around 9 o'clock or after 9 some nights, and you know how the season is, the grind and whatnot. But yeah, we had a pretty good year, man. Like I said, had a special group, a really good group of seniors that I am going to miss coaching dearly because they made football practice, football in general, a lot more fun for everybody involved. Very, very, very close group, very physical group. Just very intense in practice and whatnot. Just what it's all about. But just glad I had the opportunity and feel fortunate to have the opportunity to coach those kids because at the end of the day, this thing goes well beyond football, the X's and O's and whatnot. But yeah, just glad we had a chance to have, share some experiences, have a good year together, and hopefully they, learn something along the way that they can take into life, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about at the end of the day. So, but glad to be back on here, man. I got a whole bunch to get off my chest. I'm sure we'll get it.
Yeah, we definitely gotta get your thoughts on some things for sure. It's that both sports going on right now. We all just wrapped up, but we had a little recap. I had Van House on last week, and we talked a little football, and we did an emergency podcast because Kentucky came back, and it was a positive emergency podcast because Kentucky came back and rallied to beat Gonzaga. Because AG, you and I have done some emergency podcasts of the other tone when losing to Vanderbilt and stuff like that, and did the Cal leaving, Pope tired, so. But look, y'all check us out. We appreciate it. We'll go ahead and let y'all know that we're coming to you courtesy of the Believe Podcast Network, BLEAV. Follow Believe in Kentucky on Twitter. You go to Twitter, follow us there. You got the link tree, give you access to Apple Podcasts, the YouTube, the Instagram, all that. Follow, subscribe, like, tell your friends, write a review on Apple Podcasts, because I will keep saying it, because we've had some Cards fans and some Vols fans go in there and give us some 5 stars and some good reviews. So Cats fans, come on in here. Show us a little love. Helps the podcast grow. Helps other people find us and see us on the algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So we appreciate it if y'all just leave us a little 5-star and a good review about what you think when you listen to it. We hit the basketball first and then jump into football, Jay, because we, in my opinion, had, and see what you guys think, skeptical about Mark Pope getting hired, and then freaking out when he lost the game to Clemson. Like, how's he not going undefeated? What's happening? And so traveled from Clemson all the way to Gonzaga. And the first half, you're like, we got a 2-game losing streak. It's about to look real rough. And then that second half happened, and they walked them down. First time in 175 games, Mark Few takes a loss after being up 10 or more at halftime. So it was a fun Saturday night, Sunday morning for Big Blue Nation.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That is, the Duke win was pretty. I think that one, obviously, the circumstances being down 16, and look, Gonzaga's a really, really good team. I know they didn't shoot well and they missed some open looks in the second half, but that's a really good team. Basically, not a true road game. I get Seattle, Spokane on the different side of the state, but basically a road game, and so much resolve down. Point guards, Jackson Robinson plays out of position, plays out of his mind. I think 5 assists and no turnovers. Andrew Carr, again, kind of being that steady guy when things kind of hit the fan. He's kind of the guy you can rely on to go get a bucket. So a lot to like about the scrappiness and the way they went out and got that one. Still, you have to be mindful that the first halves of the last 3 games haven't been very good. You also have to be mindful that the threes haven't fallen for 4 games, but at the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses, and you got out and beating Gonzaga and Duke. Those are 2 of the most impressive wins that anyone in the entire country has right now. And that says a lot, because there's some really good events that have been played, some really high. Look at the slate between. The ACC SEC Challenge wasn't. There were some big ones like Duke and Auburn. What was the other? Who did North Carolina play? I know Carolina got better down here. Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of marquee matchups. Arizona and Duke played each other. There's been a lot of big games so far this year, and I'd say those 2 wins for Kentucky are right there with some of the best in the country, and it's just something this fan base, they haven't had these big non-conference wins in so long. Yes, you had the one against North Carolina last year, but other than that, they were what, 0-5 or 5 or 4 straight losses in the Champions Classic, 2 or 3 straight losses in the CBS. Losing, I know they beat Miami last year. Miami didn't turn out to be any good, so it's been really good to see them win these games, and we shall see. They got 2 more. You would think, you would think they'll go into conference play with just 1 loss. I don't think, with the way Louisville's, it sucks it's this way, but the way they've just been crushed with the injury bug, even if Kentucky is down both, I think they'll get Butler back for that one. I'm skeptical he's going to play against a 2-8 team tomorrow night.
Yeah.
If you get Butler back, I think you could be able to handle Louisville. It might be one of those games that's close early, and then you can try to just run them off the floor stamina-wise, and then that's what happened to them against Duke. I watched most of that game. They just ran out of gas. And then the Ohio State is not playing good basketball at all. So you would think you should be able to go into conference play, only 1 loss, but my God, is the SEC good?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Missouri won 0 conference games last year, and they just blew out Kansas.
That's what even the so-called easy games are going to be tough this year.
Absolutely.
It's no breaks. It's no breaks at all.
No, not 1 break. You're going to be able to you're going to win a regular season title in this conference with 4 or 5 losses. That's just how good the league is.
Mm-hmm.
I think the latest bracket was 12 teams in the tournament. And I think the worst team in the KenPom, at least going into the weekend, has probably changed. But I think South Carolina was the lowest ranked SEC team. Yeah. South Carolina is the lowest ranked team in the KenPom, and they're still 67th. That's like a fringe tournament team. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your thoughts on the tale of 2 halves with Gonzaga, Jay?
Yeah, I'll be sitting here lying to you, man. If I told you I've been watching a lot of basketball, so I haven't been watching a lot of basketball. I have been hearing things via social media, though, and just, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but seems to me that and this happens a lot of times. We got a new coach, but it seems to me that there's a lot of good positive buzz around the program. Just the way it seems, just Pope seems like a guy that's just positive and just bringing some more continuity, some different energy to the program that maybe is the reason why again it kind of justifies the coaching move. It just seemed like it's a refresher, and everybody's kind of benefited from it. It just seems very positive. But yeah, to come back, to be in Washington after a loss at Clemson, to come back and win, it shows a lot of resolve. It shows a lot of character. You have a lot of team character. You have a lot of grit as a team, and that shows like a leadership. So whether that's leadership from the coaches, whether leadership from the players, to be able to do that on the road after you just lost a game, that says a lot. So it's looking good, man. They seem to be playing with more joy out there from the clips that I've seen. I could be wrong, but that's just what I get from watching it, and what from watching the clips I've seen on social media and watching the people that I tend to go to, you all and everybody else around the media sphere of UK athletics that's talking about basketball right now, it just seems like, something just seemed more enjoyable. But like I said, I'd be sitting here lying to you if I told you I could give you a good breakdown of what's going on the intricate level, because I hadn't had time. I'm still recovering from, being, away from home every day till 9. So,
Yeah.
but it's good to hear, man. Like you said, and yes, I do know this though. I've been kind of seeing stuff on social media and whatnot, and on the ESPN app, and I think that the SEC in every major sport is just unbelievable right now.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, we're going to talk about football in a minute, but man, it's getting real ridiculous right now. I mean, football, basketball, baseball is, so we'll see. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to start watching some basketball because, I got people that I know. I'm from Alabama, obviously, and I got people that I know, Auburn fans, Bama fans. They feel optimistic about what's going on in basketball. So, we'll see. I'm excited to kind of dive into it and see what I can get from it. But just from my point of view, not really watching the actual games, seems to me like there's some good stuff going on.
For sure. So yeah, the SEC is crazy. Aaron, you pretty much kind of nailed it. With Colgate's 2-8. The only thing that even remotely catches your eyes, they played Syracuse close, and Syracuse is not a great team either this year. So
yeah, and Colgate's been in the NCAA tournament 5 straight years. Actually, they've won their league, but their roster's so young, so they're having a rough go.
Yeah. So then you want to see Kentucky just come out and take care of business. Mark Pope talks about how they prepare for every game the same, which is hard, but that's what they try to do. You can't be looking ahead to Louisville just because Colgate is tomorrow. You don't want to be, still basking in the glow of Gonzaga because Colgate's tomorrow and Louisville's this weekend. So come out, and I think it'd be smart to hold Butler out tomorrow too.
I think you get Perry some run.
Yeah, get him out there and let him work some kinks out. Let him get used to it. You put him out there in the first half for a few minutes, which shows you wasn't scared to put him out there on the road Saturday night. He didn't play long, missed the only shot that he took, but he didn't go out there and make you regret that you did it. So yeah, probably get a big dose of him tomorrow, and then get ready for Louisville this weekend.
I would agree with that for sure. I think you just play it safe and like you said, get ready for a big one against Louisville. But can't stay. It's so impressive what this team's doing year one of this regime. Definitely far exceeded expectations, and I foresee it continuing. I think this team. There's some worries I have with the physicality still. You need to bring it for both halves, and slow starts are a little worrisome, but they have the depth even with the injury with Kirk Kariusa being down for a while. They definitely have a head coach that was the biggest thing, man. I mean, how many times have you watched Kentucky these past couple of years and just begged them to make an adjustment? Not necessarily just the fact they went to a zone, but just make any sort of adjustment. And they made a bunch of adjustments. They went, to that little fake zone that Mark Pugh called it a fake zone, and it's kind of where they showed a 1-3-1, and then after a pass or two, they would go right back into man. So they made some changes on defense. Offensively, the threes weren't falling, and they just decided, hey, we're going to feed the post, and that's what they did. So all encouraging signs. Hopefully tomorrow they can I think it would be good for them to just have a game where they just kind of just flex their muscle and take care of business, and then on to Louisville.
No, exactly. So let's flip on over to the football, Jay, Aaron, and like Aaron, we mentioned it. Check Aaron out at thecatspaws.com. Football stories, basketball stories, transfer portal stories, departure stories, incoming play, all of it. Aaron's on all of that. So y'all be sure to go to catspaws.com. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. Get the yearbook, subscribe, get the issues that come out in addition to the yearbook, because they're doing great stuff all the time, all the sports. James, we talked about it. Aaron and I have, man. Look, we 8-4 turned into 4-8. You text us in our message group on Twitter after the South Carolina loss, and you said this team is going to have a long season. They even kind of got one back. They kind of went and beat Ole Miss, which kind of canceled out the South Carolina loss. But it still ended up being a long season. It was 4-8 instead of 8-4. And so with that, I'll just step on out the way and let you say what you got to say. And Aaron, if you got thoughts on the last little end of Louisville, because you weren't here for that last episode too, y'all just have at it, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jalen. I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, I just worry. Stoops is a great coach. Obviously, I think he probably deserves a statue outside of that stadium, man. I mean, what he's done. People can say what they want to say, but it is in so many words. He always want to say it without hurting the fan base's feelings. But this is not Georgia. I mean, it's not. So it takes a lot to win, just geographically where they're placed and just the history. It's kind of behind a lot of schools in a lot of ways, but I do think he's taking this program to another level. But with that being said, I just worry about the state of the program, long term with what's happened this past year. Because I was very optimistic about where they could go. Obviously, we talked about it a while ago. And like I said, I think those coaches are great coaches. A lot of places have bad years, but it just seemed to me that there's a trend of you don't see like the teams that have bad years, you don't see them really go 4-8, and you don't see that much lack of discipline amongst the team. Like you look at a team like Iowa State. Iowa State is nowhere near a blue blood program. However, they have bad years, but their bad years maybe 6-6. It may even be 5-7, but you don't see a consistent lack of discipline amongst their players. You don't see personal foul after personal foul, penalty after penalty. You just don't see that. Take an Iowa for an example. You don't see that. Certain programs you just won't see it. So I wonder what's really going on that we don't know about. Because it seems to me that I thought the receiver coach would better come in and add some discipline to the room. But he got out of there. So it seems to me like there's something bigger going on. Every offensive coordinator coming there who we think should have success doesn't really have it. Liam Cohen had it for 1 year. What's the guy name in 2016?
Shannon Dawson?
No, not Shannon Dawson. He was okay. I thought they did some good stuff under Shannon Dawson, but
he's got one or two picking the draft this year. 2016 was Eddie, and then it was Skanger.
Ed, what was his last name?
Eddie Grant.
Eddie Grant. I thought was pretty good, and he was the most Stoops like coordinator in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. I don't know. I don't know if sometimes you get this with a defensive head coach. I don't know if it's suited for certain coordinators to go into that program and be successful doing what they want to do. And that's not a knock on anybody. That's just the way it is. It's a reason why you see Iowa still lining up in I formation under center a lot of times. That's just what they're built for. And it may be under Stoops, Kentucky's built for a certain type of football. Even though they want to have something different, it seems to me that it is always a disconnect from the outside looking in. So I don't really know exactly what's going on in those doors, but something's going on. I mean, and I'm just calling this just a spade, guys. It is what it is. Berryon never reached his full potential here at Kentucky. I thought Dane Key had some great moments, but he never reached his full potential as far as production. Part of the problem, it wasn't really his problem, wasn't his fault, as far as getting him the football on a consistent basis. His stats just don't look very good for somebody as talented as he is. And I don't think, like I said, the Berryon thing is a real interesting case because I don't think he ever bought into the discipline part of it. I don't think he just didn't. He's kind of like the state of the program. And I see a lot of fans online saying, hey, we're kind of happy that he's leaving. And maybe that's the sentiment amongst the coaches because, he just never seemed to buy into doing things the right way. From a coach's perspective, I'm watching the game, and I'm sure y'all see it too. But he just, just the bickering always after the whistle's blown. Like, come on, bro. Like, there's no leadership there to tell him. We would have guys, on the teams that I've been on, high school, college, that's been pretty decent. At some point, a guy's gonna tell you to shut the F up and get your, it seemed like that never happened. It seemed like he was able to do whatever he wanted to do there because he never developed in that facet. He never developed from a route running standpoint. He don't run. He's a below average SEC receiver when it comes to the technicalities of playing the position. Above average talent as far as his speed, his flashiness, his athleticism, his big playability. But he never developed. Now, I don't know if that's all on him, but it just shows me kind of where they are in there is nobody ever grabbed him by the throat and said, chill out and get better, bro. Like, it just seemed like nobody ever done that. And it was a reflection of kind of what went on. It's just a lot of stuff that, you don't really see from Stoops teams that was happening the past year, maybe the past 2 or 3 years, really. With just the lack of discipline from certain guys. And, I don't know if maybe they recruited the wrong guys. I don't know. But it's just, like I said, I think they're good coaches. I know they're good coaches. So I don't really know what the issue is, not being in that building. But it just doesn't look good. And like we just talking about earlier, the SEC, guys, is a brutal beast. Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Yeah.
And you can say what you want to say about Vanderbilt. You can say what you want to say about Alabama. At the end of the day, they beat them in a real football game. With more Bama fans in the stands than Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? Like Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
No question.
So, and my theory is I think Florida's about to take off. I think Florida's going to be a football team. Yep. I think DJ Lagway is going to be a Heisman candidate at some point.
Yep, I think they're in my early 12-team playoff for next year.
Yeah, so and LSU's always going to be LSU. Texas A&M is showing that they're going to beat Texas A&M. Missouri has been pretty good the past couple of years.
They got a lot of money.
Yeah, Vanderbilt is seems to be on the rise. South Carolina, in my opinion, I would love to see South Carolina in the playoffs over maybe at SMU. I know that's probably not going to happen. SMU is more deserving and all of that, but I don't think any team in the country would sign up to play South Carolina right now.
No, yeah, I think if South Carolina had beaten one of Alabama, or obviously if they were 10-2 team to get in, but even if they were 9-3 and say the Missouri game they were down in the final minute, say they lose that one and they beat Ole Miss or Bama, that might have been in.
Yeah, but I mean the LSU game, in my opinion, was almost taken from them.
Yeah, you could argue that.
That was a very weird game when it comes to the officiating. But just to go back to my point, I mean, Georgia's Georgia, Bama's Bama. Auburn is going to get better. I'm just trying to find the weak link in the SEC, and I don't really see it. So I say that to say it's only going to get more competitive. It's only going to get tougher, in my opinion. Maybe Mississippi State may still be kind of lagging behind or whatever, but Ole Miss is going to be Ole Miss. They're going to spend money. So, they're going to get guys. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see. I have no doubt in my mind that they can turn around and get the discipline and everything back going because I think at the end of the day, that's how Stoops coach. He's toughness, discipline. That's who he is at his core as a coach. I just wonder, kind of what happened these past couple of years. I don't know. Especially this past year, when I watched them, I didn't really get a sense that they were gonna, take off. It was one of those games I tuned into, and I'm like, yeah, these guys, they checked out. You know, they were just checked out. You know, it just didn't. They weren't playing with any continuity, any fire, any togetherness, anything. I saw a bunch of good individual players on the field. I didn't see a good team that played together. So, you know, I don't know what's going on, but hopefully they get it fixed.
Had Van Hals on last week, and we just kind of recapped the season to that point. And look, I don't know X's and O's as intricately as you or him, Jalen, and from that standpoint, and played the game and breaking it down. But for me, and y'all may disagree, but Louisville's first drive, I want to say the second play from scrimmage, Tyler Shook rolls out to his left, and you know, he does his cut ups and his breakdowns and all that. But Dion and JJ, and I hate to call them out, they were just like walking towards him.
Yeah, it was bad.
And if they had hustled, they could have had a sack. Because Shook went out there to his left, held on to the ball, didn't really have anything, didn't see anything. You think back to the previous weeks, I think it was Ole Miss, where JJ just got a sack off a straight hustle, where he ran the guy down from the backside and clocked him. I think it was Dart, and it was just not schooling the tackle, just hustling and booking it over there, seeing, hey, if I get over there, I can get this sack. They were just cruising. Then halfway they realized, oh, this dude's holding the ball. Okay, let's get over there and try to get a sack. So then you saw him speed up, but not initially. And I was like, dude, this is a rivalry game. Their first possession, their first series, and this is what we got going on. So,
yeah, even Max Harrison gave up on a tackle early in the game. Yeah. It was bad. I said it upstairs. I don't think we've had a show since then. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that was the first time in a while I was like, oh, this team quit. Like they just looked like they wanted. No, it was 30 degrees. The season was over no matter what. There was rivalry. They didn't really seem to care about that. They wanted out. So it was bad. It was a really lousy effort, and I think you hit Jalen the stuff with Barry on the head. I think Dane and Dane too. I think Dane really did improve this year. You saw the way he got his body where it needed to be. He put on 25 pounds of muscle, and he looked a lot more the part. And I thought played really well. I think he only had 2 drops the whole year when he had 5 or 6 in the first 3 weeks last year. So. Good luck to that kid for sure, but I can't blame him for hitting the portal. I think it's good for all parties involved with Barry on. And really, I mean, to be honest with you, there's not. I think Dane hurts. I think you would have liked to have had him back. Keyshawn Silver hurts the most. If you're asking me, you can't teach size, and that's a guy who never gave up this season. In fact, he played through a bunch of injuries and still out there making plays. You're talking 6'4", 345 plus, and he has some twitch to him. Was a 5-star at high school and was finally starting to play like it this year. That's a tough one. That one hurts, and he's gonna. I think his Final 4 in the portal are like Miami, USC. I don't remember the other 2 are, but all big money schools. So he's going out and getting paid. I think you're going to see. I think Dane's probably either going to be Georgia or Nebraska, from what I've heard, and then. Barry on sounds like it's probably LSU right now. So all big money guys, and we'll see how they do. But otherwise, I think honestly the portal, I think it's been good, honestly, that the floodgates have opened a little bit. Everyone's upset about it, but when you go 4-8, you got to shake things up. Like it'd be the definite. I get the fans are like, oh, let's do it with the staff. Well, it didn't happen. Like Kentucky backed themselves into a corner with the contract. Mark Stoops has built up enough goodwill. I've said it on here, and I've said it in the past. I'll say it again. I don't think you fire the most successful coach in your program's history. I think he deserves the chance to get you out of it. I mean, at the end of the day, 7-6 the last 2 years were disappointing, but at a place like Kentucky, that's historically pretty darn good. 4-8, not good, not acceptable. So I think he deserves one chance to get you out of it. And maybe if this year goes well, he goes out on his own terms, or the buyout's going to be much lower and they go that route. And, John Summerall is back on the market next year. So I am now, for me, it's like, you know what, at this point, he's staying. The whole coaching staff, it seems, outside of DeKill Shorts, is staying. Let's see what they do in the portal. That's what it comes down to. And I like some of the names they're targeting. What's crazy about the portal, when you lose 19 guys is part of it, and then, you know, you're losing some guys to the pros. They literally need at least some positions, multiple, but they need at least one quarterback. They need at least one running back. They need at least one wide receiver. They need probably 2 tight ends. They definitely need 3 or 4 offensive linemen. They probably need 2 or 3 defensive linemen. They need like 5 edge. Not, I'm being a little bit dramatic, but they need like 3 or 4 edge rushers for sure. They need 1 more inside linebacker, maybe 2, probably 2 actually. Now that I say that, and they need help in the secondary. So that's every position on the football field. They have a kicker and they have a punter for next year, so at least they got that down. But it is an overwhelming task, and you know, I think it's been interesting. I think it's good that a lot of the names early have been edge. That's a position that they've got to get fixed. Like I get it. The quarterback's the most important position on the field. I actually think it's kind of smart. I think it's smart that they're kind of waiting. They're going to not go for the top guy on the quarterback market. They're going to try to find more of a guy who's a fit. I mean, that's what Louisville did with Tyler Shaw. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his last name. It worked really well. Even, you know, for the most part, Walker Howard at Ohio State wasn't necessarily the top guy on the market. It worked out really well. So I think going with that strategy is actually really smart at quarterback. I think the edge rusher, I mean, that whole room is gone and it's for the better. Like, there's no one. I mean, JJ is a great leader. I like JJ, but like, not Tyrese Fairbury didn't give you much. Noah Matthews gave you nothing. Like, I'm kind of glad that room's getting a reshaking, and it sounds like they have 2 visits lined up in that room, and they're working really hard on that. And at cornerback and inside backer. So I kind of like going defense first and kind of solidifying things and the offensive line as well. That'll be, I think the order of operations for me would be edge rusher, because they're the most expensive position right now outside of quarterback, offensive line, the rest of the defense, and then, you know, your running back and quarterback. Because I think you can find a running back if you have an offensive line that can fit no matter what, and then quarterback. I just think you've got to just get a guy who can run this offense, a guy that has, you know, running ability, can make all the throws. And, you know, I probably, if you're going to take a portal quarterback, it's a guy who's a one and done, because I think you don't want Cutter Boley to get, I don't know the best word for it. You don't want discouraged is what I was looking for. You don't want Cutter Boley to be like, oh, well, they're bringing in a guy who has 2 or 3 years of eligibility. What does that mean for me? Does it mean my one bad game against Louisville means they're done with me? So they have a lot of things to work out, but I do think the names that are on kind of our tracker over there at catspaws.com, some of the guys that are on there would help them be a better football team next year. There's no question about it. I like the production. I like some of the leadership things I've been reading up on. And, you know, we'll see how many of them they can go out there and sign. They claim to be in a much better financial position. Go out and prove it.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was up there real quick and then come right back to you. You mentioned you need the whole world, but
literally
you have to hit. You have to get guys that fit. You have to get guys that can play, because you gotta fix this quickly. I said the other day, Jalen, for the first time in a long time, you get the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row, but you didn't really like a lot of what you saw from the offense last year. Now, a lot of that falls on the offensive line. So you bring the guy back, cool. You're not having to go hire no one, but what you saw wasn't setting the world on fire. So it's just so many things to fix, man, in one off season. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, and I think when the record is one thing, 4-8 is one thing, but I think the way it looked, you know, the context behind the 4-8 is what made it bad. You know, that's the thing. Like, just, you know, watching good football, and that's probably what's bothering the hell out of Stoops. When he watched them as a team, he see the lack of discipline. He see the lack of just, you know, being able to do ordinary things that, you know, you should be able to do at that level. Doing them consistently is not there. He see that. So Look, y'all can make this the title of the podcast. I am not judging Cutter Boley based on what happened in that game.
Absolutely not.
I'm not doing it. I'm not judging the offensive coordinator based on what happened this year.
I'm not either.
It's just you can't look at the track record, man. Like you gotta give people time. You gotta let them do their thing. Like if you hire a coach, let him do his thing. You bring in a player, let him do his thing. You bring in a player, he can't do his thing on a team that's already equipped. He's a freshman coming out. I mean, you playing, real football for the first time on this level. Your first start in a rivalry game against a team that want to, beat you at home. And obviously your own guys in your locker room look like they don't want to be out there. I'm not judging them. I'm not doing it. Cutter Boley has not played a snap in Kentucky football uniform for me. He hadn't played one yet. So it's a clean slate for him. He need to approach this offseason and try to, work on his leadership and be the guy.
Yeah.
Be that new guy that they hope that he would be as far as changing the complexity of the quarterback position at Kentucky, changing the trajectory, I should say, of that position. I think he's talented. I think he has talent. He can move pretty good. He can make good throws. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get, get in the offense, a little bit more, really get more familiar with it, learn the ins and outs, the details, be able to operate it in his sleep. But, I'm not judging that kid off of what happened, man. I see people online saying that he's not the guy. Dude, you have no idea. You have no idea how hard it is to play quarterback in that type of situation. So he hasn't played a snap in Kentucky uniform as far as I see it. That kid has a clean slate. They should treat him they should treat him like he has a clean slate. They may bring a quarterback in, but I think you approach this thing and go and treat the offseason like he's your guy, in my opinion, and let him, go through an offseason and build his confidence up as the starter at Kentucky. I think that's how you approach that. And if he failed, he failed. That's why you brought a transfer in who probably played ball somewhere else to get him a shot. But I think, they may not make this a team thing, but as coaches, they should say, okay, he's our guy until somebody just beat him out. And if that happens, that happens. It happens. But, I think they got to give that kid some confidence, man. They got to, you can't throw him in there against a decent Louisville team. And he's playing with guys that's already thinking about, where they're going, next. So I just think that's a tough situation. You set him up for failure, in my opinion. It's just not fair to the kid at the end of the day. So a lot of people may not like that. I don't really care what you like, but that kid deserves a real shot, a legitimate shot to play quarterback and with a legitimate team in a legitimate system. Until then, he hasn't played quarterback yet at Kentucky, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with any of that. And look, you don't want to make off a Cutter. You nailed it with Cutter, and we'll see if he's the guy in 2025 or not. But with Hamden, I mean, one, where is firing these coordinators or losing these coordinators after 1 year got you? It's got you nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And two, it's a whole different era of college football. If this was if this was Shannon Dawson in 2015 after year one when they did fire him, it makes more sense because, it's all the same guys coming back. Now, Bush Hamden basically gets to go out there on the free agent market and handpick his offense. The only guy that Bush Hamden helped pick on that entire offense was his backup quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt, who's now back in the transfer portal. So literally, the offense was built for Liam Cohen. And it makes sense because Liam Cohen – yes, Will Levis ran in 2021, but we saw Devin Leary wasn't much of a runner. And I thought, Devin Leary, was he great here? No. Was he much better than Brock Vandegrift was this year, playing in an offense that did not fit him? Yes. So you got to give Hamden a shot to build it his way.
No doubt. I believe that, this is just my opinion, I believe that Gavin Wimsatt, whatever his last name is, sorry if I'm messing up his last name, but I thought at some point in the season, I was like, matter of fact, this guy is the best quarterback for the team right now. I thought that he would, in the structure that they were in, the situation that they were in, I thought he would be the better quarterback for the situation. I'm not saying he was the best quarterback on the roster, but I thought he was the best quarterback for the situation that they were in. I thought there were some games he came in and, I thought he played well. I thought, based on the situation they were in, they weren't successful passing the ball anyway. I thought he probably would have given them a little bit more in the run game. I thought that, he was a little bit more dynamic in some ways. And when it's going bad, you need a guy back there that can just make plays. And Brock did some of that. But, I just thought that, at some point in the season, we kind of knew that, he wasn't the guy. And we knew that there needed to be a change. And I thought they could have made that change maybe a little bit sooner. But I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So I can't really judge that too much. But that's just from what I saw watching the film.
Yeah. So, they know the task at hand. So many holes to fix and so little time. And so we'll see, like Aaron mentioned, some of these guys coming in already, the linebacker from Marshall and others. It's going to be a completely different looking team across the board. And so, you won't get to really know what you got until you play. But some people are kind of checked out. I'm kind of like, you got to show me mode, man. I gotta see, being optimistic about on paper and what you projected. I gotta just kind of, you got to show me. I'm from Missouri right now. You got to show me what you got when it's when we get to next fall, man.
Yeah, no, that's the exact right approach. I mean, the staff, again, they've done more good than bad in their 12 years here. But when you have a year like this and you're making essentially you're going to run it back at both coordinator spots, which again, I'm okay with. You have one change of position coach, and it's probably one of the last guys you wanted to lose just for continuity's sake. It's you got to go out there and prove you can make it work. It's all going to come down to how they attack this transfer portal, though. And, fans, and they have every right. I don't think you're going to have the fans super excited about this 2025 team until they go out there and win a big game next year.
Right.
The schedule's freaking brutal. I mean, we saw how hard it was this year. It's the same schedule, just reversed.
Yeah.
Home field, which means you're going to Louisville, who beat you this year. It means you're going to Auburn, who wasn't good. There should be better, and now you have to go to their place. You got Florida coming in here. We just talked about how improved they are. Ole Miss, they're going to be hungry this was the game that Kentucky kept them out of the playoff. So you'd think they're going to come in balls to the wall when they come to Lexington.
Yeah.
They have to go to South Carolina, who all of a sudden has a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback going into next year. So, it's just brutal.
Tennessee comes here.
Who's that?
Tennessee comes here.
Tennessee comes here. That's an automatic loss every year, basically. And even Toledo beat the hell out of Mississippi State. So, you gotta go out there and win some big games. That's the way you get this fan base back on board. It's all about the W's and the L's. I mean, unless you got a new coach in here, I think Kentucky fans, as yes, there were some, like you said at the top of the show, Vinny, that some were like, oh, why are we going to lose 2 straight? How do we lose to Clemson? I think going into the year, the realistic Kentucky fan was like, all right, it's year 1. Let's see how this goes. And, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt no matter what, as long as we don't have a Kenny Payne year.
Yeah.
It's been the opposite. They're rolling. But football, I think the only way you could have gone into next year and been mediocre and the fans be okay is if there was a new coach, and there's not going to be. So you better go out there and give them a winning season at the very least.
That's it. So we'll keep monitoring all the happenings. You mentioned the tracker at catspause.com. That thing is going to be hopping. So we hope to be talking about a win over Louisville next week. Glad to have you back, Jalen.
Glad to be back, man. Like I said, hadn't talked in Kentucky sports in a while, so it's glad to be back.
Yeah, so appreciate everybody that takes the time to check us out. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow on all the platforms, and we keep on doing episodes, and y'all keep on telling your friends about it, and people that put the comments on YouTube and all that, we definitely appreciate it. So Believe.com, BLEAV. We got the merch, we got the Cat Daddy shirts, we got the Everest to Eddyville shirts. Go to Believe.com/shop and check that stuff out. And we'll hop on off of here and be back next week for the QB, Jalen Whitlow, Aaron Gershon from the Cats Paw. My name is Vinny Hardy. It's been another episode of Believe in Kentucky. And we'll holler at everybody next week. Go Cats. Everybody stay safe.